Good morning, generations. My name is Lori Viewig. I wanted to share with you a little bit about what God did in my life during the women's retreat. I went Thursday night to see Ashlyn, who was amazing. I was completely blown away. That the just the all the power and the wisdom that she had at her age. I knew that was the speaker that was going to be geared towards the younger kids. So I was kind of thinking, well, this will be interesting. Maybe not anything for me, but it'll be nice. It'll be fun to hear. So I went really not expecting to receive anything that night. Sorry, I'm just being real here. So, and then as soon as I laid my eyes on little Ashlyn, I just teared up. I could just see the power of God in her life. I could tell, the devotion and the passion that she had, and it just wrecked me in so many ways. Because I so regret that I didn't follow through at that age with what God had started in my life. I took a huge detour. And I kind of wondered, what would I be like, if I had stayed as steady as her. But so God really started stirring in my heart early on. And then at the end, when she had us praying through, past hurts and stuff, that was just like, I was just like everybody else. I was crying and, kind of praying, and I was just trying to be faithful. Like, God, what do you want to bring up in my life? Like she was telling us, I prayed the prayer, and there was a few things that God pointed out, and of course I dealt with them in obedience, like he said. And they are things that I felt like I had dealt with a million times over, but there's just always something still there. And so I thought, well, maybe there's still some kind of Ruth that's still there. So I was doing all that. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, goodness, I have received counseling. I've been, everything else. I'm like, how can this still be bothering me? Like, I just don't understand. But nonetheless, I went through the process. I prayed, and I know God was moving. I could feel his spirit and all that kind of stuff. So, when we got up to worship after the prayer and everything, I heard God speak to me very clearly. He says, you need to go down to the front and you need to ask them to pray for to break off the generational curse of rejection from your life. So Ashlyn had spoke about how, some stuff gets passed down from our parents and how we don't understand, different things and what they went through. Well, that kind of resonated with me because my mom had shared a lot of things in her past about the rejection that she went through as a child, which was very real and bigger than anything I had ever been through. And so I thought, well, maybe that's it. And I know from talking with Mom that she had received deliverance herself, but apparently just because she received deliverance, and that was after I was an adult, or at least in my 18, 20 years old, I guess by that time it had already affected my life and who I was really at the core, I believe. So anyway, God spoke to me. I was like, okay, I'll go up. I'm just going to tell you, I'm one of the people who, like, when I hear God, I'll go up. And God prays for me, and I think that he probably does. I know that he does stuff in me, but it's a process. It's always a process. I went to the Brownsville revival. People are falling down all around me, and I'm just standing there like, what's wrong with me? Like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm standing firm. So it's just like God doesn't deal with me that way. And I kind of accepted that a long time ago. Everything is a slow process in my life, I can tell you. Everything happens the hard way. So I went up. Ashlyn asked if she could pray with me because all the prayer people were full. So I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, yes, you can pray with me. So Ashlyn just took my hand and she prayed. I can't tell you what she prayed. I don't even remember, but it wasn't anything like crazy, or she didn't scream or holler, or, she just prayed a simple prayer. I told her what I needed, and she's like, yes, that's absolutely, a thing. Let's pray for that. And then someone came behind me. They had their hands on my back. So, and then actually somebody came up beside me. So there's 3 people praying for me. I could feel heat radiating up and down my back, up and down my back. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what is that? And then she started praying for me. And then all of a sudden, I had been crying, but not like a lot, just tears running down my face. All of a sudden, I started feeling like something coming up in my, from my diaphragm up through my chest. It was like, and I wasn't doing it. Like, I was not doing that. I'm like, all of a sudden it just started happening. And then I would let out a big, like that. And that happened like 3 times. And I was kind of like freaking out, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then all of a sudden, after the 3rd time it happened, I just like bawled, like, from way deep down. I just started bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. I could hardly stand. And so it was just like that. It was just that simple. Like, nothing else happened. That was it. I don't even know. They didn't even realize like exactly what was going on. They thought I was just crying real hard and making those dramatic noises. So, so I went and I sat down, and then throughout the rest of the night, I really just kind of like, just felt so overwhelmed and so just like drained, like something had just been lifted off of me. Like, I know God delivered me from this, from a generational curse, from the spirit of rejection passed down from my mom. And I know that it's something that I will probably see as I continue to walk out my journey with the Lord, as I continue to walk out my journey, just walk out life, basically. Even these last few weeks, I've seen the way that it's affected me in my interaction with one of my kids. My kids love to do like what I call emotional blackmail. They want to make me, oh, you're such a terrible mom. If you wouldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a terrible mom. I'm not trying to upset you. And then, but this past week when they did that, I was like, I'm not a terrible mom. I really don't care if you want to dump all that drama on me, go ahead, but I'm not receiving it. You need to do what you need to do, and I'm going to be your mother whether you like it or not. Like, it didn't affect me. I didn't get like anxious and like, oh God, they're going to hate me. They're going to hate me if I say something that they don't like. Like, this is my reaction to a lot of things in life, just in dealing with people and family. Like, I don't want to say stuff that's going to upset them, because I don't want them to like me, And how many of y'all know parenting is not a popularity contest? But you can't, like, those emotions and those feelings are real when they're happening. Like this fear comes over me that, oh, I'm going to make them mad. I don't want to make them mad. So I just in this one situation that happened, I was like, that's God. That is God in my life. Like, he has set me free. Like, I don't care. I don't care if my son doesn't like me. What I'm saying is legit, and he can get over it. It was just like, I'm like, I am free. God did set me free. And like, I'm looking so forward to seeing, how this changes just who I am in general and how I respond to people. So, ladies, the reason I'm sharing this with you is just to say, like, don't give up. These are things that I have prayed and prayed and prayed and brought to God over and over and over and over again, And I do believe that every time that I've brought it to God and every time I've prayed, he has done something, but it has been a process. And this was like, like the root, when you plant those plants and you chop them down and then they just grow back up. Like, yeah, you did something, you chopped them down, but they're still there. There's still that root that has to be dealt with. Maybe I just didn't know how to deal with it sooner. Maybe it was just timing, and God just knows that I am now ready, and to move forward. Who knows? If I'd have done it 10 years ago, I'd have probably replanted the darn thing and just regrew it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand God's timing. Nobody does. So I just want to encourage y'all that God can deliver you. He will deliver you. And you don't have to go to some big evangelist. You don't have to go to some deliverance ministry. God delivered me at Church Alive through Ashlyn and 2 other faithful ladies that were just praying a simple prayer. Nothing hokey or weird. He did it. And if he did it for me, he can certainly do it for you. So I just want to give God praise and glory and encourage all my sister friends out there. Ladies, God is on our side and he loves us. And he is going to deliver us, and he is going to prepare us to do what he's called us to do. So I love you, and God bless.